Hello everyone, how are you? My name is Makeda Valletta and welcome to my IG YouTube page, Makeda Valletta Travels. A lot of you know me as a trainer and nutritionist and all the other things that I do. But this page in particular is just for me speaking about traveling because I do travel a lot internationally and nationally. COVID has slowed that down a bit. But I'm still gonna, make some videos about some things. And there are cities that I've spent a lot of time in over the years, and I have opinions on them. Now, every city has its pros and cons. All right, so let me just say that every city has its pros and cons. There are some cities I don't love, but then there are things about them that I do love, that I do like, and so sometimes I try to focus on that, but. Of course, I'm coming from my perspective in what matters to me in the city and the things that I need. So of course, I give that disclaimer with everything that I speak about. This video is live on my IG page, but I will save it and repost it to my YouTube page. So if you're on YouTube and you don't follow my IG, be sure to follow my IG. And if you're on IG and you don't follow me on YouTube, be sure to do that. So I just got back from South Florida. South Florida is a place that I've been to. I've spent a lot of time in South Florida since 2003. Okay. Back in the day, I used to go to South Beach a lot because I was training clients. And I'm from New York City. I'm from Manhattan, to be exact, where I'm used to everything that I need being outside. I can walk to the store if I need to. I can walk and do whatever I need, and I don't need a car, right? So in South Beach, if you're staying on South Beach, you don't need a car, right? Just if you're doing things on South Beach. But Miami and the South Florida area is definitely an area where you need a car to get around. Just in Miami alone, it's a big city. So if you're coming to visit Miami, and let me just say that I'm also making these videos for people who might be international, who are coming to the U.S., who don't know about different U.S. cities. One thing that's different about the U.S. in general compared to, like, let's say European countries is that our public transportation sucks in the U.S. Unless you're in New York City, public transportation is pretty bad. I mean, Chicago, that's where I live now. I say Chicago's public transportation is number 2 after New York, but it still doesn't compare. And so if you're coming to the U.S. and you want to visit a few different cities, it's like almost impossible to do that without renting a car in places that you go. Whereas, like, I remember going to London, Paris, Amsterdam, and Madrid and never got in the car one time because the public transportation is so great in all those places, right? So, like most of America, South Florida is a vast area where you do need to do a lot of driving. So back in the day, I used to stay at South Beach a lot because I could walk to the gym to train my clients and get my food and do what I needed to do. Now, I do think South Beach is overrated. I think South Florida is overrated. And I'm going to give the pros and cons, okay? So when it comes to South Beach, all right, people from Miami will always tell you that South Beach is not Miami. They don't consider, if you talk to a Miami person and you say, oh, I was in South Beach, Miami people will tell you that's not Miami, right? It's like to New Yorker, Times Square. It's like Times Square is a place for tourists. Real New Yorkers don't really go to Times Square like that. So that's what South Beach is. South Beach is really like a tourist place. It's native Miami people don't usually mess with it that much, and it's very different than the rest of the city. Okay, so if you go to South Beach and you happen to see some of the areas in that area where rich people live, you'll find some nice looking architecture. But most of Miami is pretty blah looking. Okay, it's like most of Florida, the architecture isn't that great. It's very generic. A lot of the houses in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, they're like little concrete, one-story little boxes, okay? Most of the houses don't even have two stories, which is crazy to me because I'm like, South Florida is an area that's hurricane prone and you have to drive. There's no higher ground anywhere around there. There's no higher ground probably till you get to Georgia or like way up North Florida. Most of it's pretty flat. So to be someplace that's so flat, so hurricane prone, flat for hours, you would think that you would have houses that had at least 2 floors, but you don't really see that. It's a lot of very simple little brick houses that's one story, low ceilings, which is exactly what I don't like. Again, everybody likes different things. Thank you, Corey. Everybody likes different things, but for me, like, I like high ceilings. I like nice architecture. You know, it's like most of South Florida is very boring. It is very spread out. Hey, it's very spread out. A lot of strip malls, right? So very generic, like what I would call anywhere America, right? It looks like we could be in Ohio, we could be in Pennsylvania. It's very generic with the strip malls. Then one of the stereotypes about South Florida is everybody's so fit. You know, people say about Miami, everybody's so fit. And honestly, I see more fit men down there than I do women. The only time I see a lot of women down there that look great is usually when something is happening on South Beach and it's bringing a lot of women from other cities. But and no offense to anybody, this is just my observation from me being down there for spending time down there for over many years. I think I've seen a lot of people, women in particular, who are really out of shape or just have a lot of surgery. So I mean, just in me being in other cities like New Orleans, like Atlanta, like Houston, like you'll see way better looking women, Detroit, even New York, in a shorter period of time than you do in South Florida. But the thing is that like, now when you're talking about South Florida, you have Miami, then you have, you know, Fort Lauderdale and the Hollywood area and all that. The thing about Fort Lauderdale, like I feel like you find more of the black people who are doing well are going to be more in Fort Lauderdale, like not so much in Miami. I don't really feel like Miami is the best city for black people. But Fort Lauderdale, though, is a city that everything closes super early. Like by 9 p.m., it's like, or definitely by 10 p.m., the whole city is basically shut down. It's very quiet, very desolate, very dead type of energy, right? So, and again, it's the little tiny little flat concrete houses with the low ceilings that are just one story. There's really nothing to the architecture at all. Like, to me, I think that New Orleans is beautiful. San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Pittsburgh, you know, those are places that have DC, that have nice architecture. South Florida, no, not really, right? So to me, I just don't think it's very beautiful. Okay, now again, that's not important to everybody, but it's lacking in that area. Then when it comes to the food, all right, I am not a fan of the food in South Florida. Like, I feel like it's mediocre at best. I feel like a lot of things down there, I always said that I feel like Miami is a scam, right? And so when you saw that building that collapsed, that condo that collapsed, like, what is it, like a month or two ago? I wasn't surprised by that because I always felt like, you know, we know that the money that runs Miami is all like criminal shit, all shady shit. That's like the number one, I feel like, source of income down there. And I feel like they don't care about building codes. They try to, you know, shortcut everything. And the so-called luxury buildings that are in Miami, they're not really that nice. I've been in some of those luxury buildings, you know, buildings where you have like, you know, professional athletes and all these people that supposedly have all this money in the buildings. Again, the architecture, the apartments, they're very generic. It's just like a white box, okay? It's just a white box, just mad plain. You know, I've seen better so-called luxury buildings, like modern luxury buildings in Chicago than I have in South Florida. They're not really that nice. They're cheaply made from cheap materials, not quality, you know? And so I have been saying that. So when that building collapsed, I'm like, oh, I'm not surprised. The quality of stuff to me is not that great. And again, no offense, all right? But a lot of like even traveling down there and looking at Airbnbs, the Airbnbs in South Florida, and this is Miami, this is Fort Lauderdale, this is Hollywood, they are not nice, okay? Like they're expensive and they're not nice. They have ugly, tacky furniture, like stuff that you see in, again, no offense, but stuff that I've seen like in other countries. Like I don't like using the word third world, but let's say less developed countries or whatever. Like a lot of times, the decor inside of the houses and stuff is like plastic furniture and just like not so nice. Now, the exceptions to this is not always the case, okay? Because in Mexico and in Colombia, and I wouldn't even consider Colombia third world, Mexico either, but I'm just saying in those countries, I've seen nice architecture that was indigenous, the indigenous architecture. But in South Florida, and it's weird because it's so close to Cuba, and Cuba has amazing architecture, okay? Like Cuba has amazing structures. Cuba has, you know, huge, beautiful houses with super high ceilings, big, huge porches, which is one thing, in balconies. which is one thing that I love about Spanish speaking countries. Like if I'm going to Cuba, if I'm going to Colombia, if I'm going to Mexico, if I'm going to Costa Rica, I'm gonna try to find a place that has a balcony. I feel like that's very, you can find that in a lot of Spanish speaking countries. But South Florida, no, you don't. Balconies is not really a thing. It's rare. Okay, there's not a lot of places with balconies, and even in the hotels. And I find this even when I was like in Orlando, which I absolutely despise Orlando, so I'll never do a video on that. But even in Orlando, but like something, I don't know what it is with Florida, but the hotels where they won't let you open the windows. Like I don't like hotels, but if I'm going to stay in a hotel, I have to be able to open the window. And like something with Florida where it's like they don't really want you to open the windows, and if you do, it's like a little crack. Like, and it's funny because the people who live down there, they always say things like they can never live up north because they can't stand the cold, and oh, it's too cold for me, and da da da. But they all are sitting in the freezing air conditioner all day. Like it's freezing in their house. I'll literally be freezing. Then they get in the car and turn the air conditioner on blast, and so they never even feel the heat. They're always in like super cold air conditioning. They don't get fresh air. Like I need fresh air. And I feel like that's a place where people just, I don't know, they're always closed up in the air conditioning. But so, okay, so I'm saying those things. Okay, I'm not really crazy about the food. I feel like it's overpriced and it's not that good. I could say the same about New York, but I feel like South Florida is even worse. Okay, Miami and like Hollywood, like there's a lot of restaurants. Like okay, so I've spent a lot of time in South Florida since 2007. I can't remember, I don't know of one place that I'm like excited to go eat at when I go there. Like, oh, I can't wait to go to this place because they have amazing food. Now, if anybody has any recommendations, please let me know and I'll see. But over the years of me going down there and spending so much time down there, I can't remember ever having a meal that was like so amazing. Instead, I'm having Mexican food that's made by Cubans. Like, we don't want Mexican food that's made by Cubans, you know, like, or it's just, the seafood down there is like so overpriced and it's really not that good. Like, you could get better seafood in Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? You would get better seafood a lot of places. Like, I think that the food down there is overrated, overpriced. I feel like the housing down there is really not that nice. A lot of the structures look so outdated. Unless, of course, you know, somebody is rich, maybe that's different. But just, it's really not. It's definitely a place where you need a car. But that's most of America. The one good thing they do have is the beaches. Yes, there are beautiful beaches. So I feel like that's the thing that South Florida has. Is they probably have the best beaches in the U.S. probably. But so now one of the things that I find is that there are a lot of men in South Florida that's like 6'4", 6'5". Like that's like a normal occurrence. 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I don't feel like I see that a lot in like, you know, some other parts of the country. Definitely not in New York, my hometown, where I feel like there's a lot of short men. No offense to anybody, I'm just saying, it's just an observation. Probably because, you know, I want to say because football, but like basketball should make you taller than football because the activity, you know, constantly jumping. But I don't know. So that's just another observation. I'm trying to think of everything that I wanted to say about down there. It's a lot of driving. So I feel like, you know, I've heard people talk about Houston being really spread out and they're constantly driving. South Florida, it's a lot of driving, okay? Like, I feel like I spend half my day driving from point A to point B. Everything's a highway. Even when you're on a regular street, everything's a highway. And, you know, it's like even when you're driving, you hardly even come to a red light. It's like everything's a highway. It just takes up so much of my attention and your energy. I mean, for a lot of people, they may not care about that because most Americans are used to spending half the day driving, but that's just something to know and something about it. And I just feel like it's funny because just now I was at a restaurant and I ordered lobster bisque. Like I was really, really hungry and I couldn't find any food that I felt like that really hits the spot because I like really good food. And so I saw this restaurant that had lobster bisque and I'm like, okay, I love that. So let me go over here and get this. And I go over there and they give me something that looked like vegetable soup. And I'm like, what is this? It didn't have any cream in it, nothing. And it was like not even cheap. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like in Miami and South Florida, they try to get away with a lot of shit. Like, people are stupid. And it's like they'll be overpricing things, and it's not even that good, or it's not even what you said it was. So that's one of my issues. But it's a very good place to. One of the things that I like about it, because let me stop talking about all the negative. I'm somebody who I love to wear bright clothes. I love to wear things where a lot of my skin is out, and my skin is getting sun. And I like things that fit me a certain way. I definitely like have an obsession with bikinis, and South Florida is the place for all of that. Like, if I want to find really cute girl clothes that fit me right, that have dope colors, I would look there. Or if I want to find the swimsuits and the bikinis that fit me right, it's only in Florida. I'm not gonna find that shit in California, not in New York, not nowhere but Florida. It's something they have a lot of the Brazilian and Colombian type cuts, which have a lot less fabric than American swimsuits. And I feel like that's the only place. And I could say South Florida, but I even found some in Jacksonville one time. When I was in Jacksonville years ago, I've only been to Jacksonville once, or maybe I've been there twice. But I went to a bikini store there, and they also had that. So it could be all of Florida. I just know that I'm more familiar with South Florida. So there's a lot of cute bikini stores down there, like bikini stores everywhere. A lot of them, again, are overpriced. Like, you'll have like these cute bikinis, but it's like some Brazilian bottom that barely has any fabric. It's like a little slither of fabric, and for the bottoms, and it's like $75 for these little tiny bottoms, and then little tiny top, $75. And it's just like, how can you justify $75 for some tiny little thong underwear, you know? But if you search around a lot, you can find stores that have better prices, and there is one that I really like that I will write the name of the store. It's actually on South Beach. I'll write the name of the store below in this video for any women who are interested. But like in Fort Lauderdale, you know, I feel like Fort Lauderdale Beach. So you have Miami Beach, South Beach, and you got Fort Lauderdale Beach. Fort Lauderdale Beach is way more chill, but trying to find the cute bikinis and stuff over there is way more expensive. If you really want to turn up more, South Beach is the place. But the thing about South Beach, I really feel like South Beach is very overrated, because this is the thing. Yes, the food is overpriced and mediocre, right? Also, the police on South Beach are the strictest damn police. I feel like Miami police, I feel like I hate the police in Miami more than any place I've ever been. But in South Beach, those police just ride around looking for a problem. Like, they'll ride up and down the beach just looking for a problem. So it's not a place where I wouldn't even smoke a blunt on South Beach, like, because the police in Miami, they're like assholes, you know, and they're like everywhere, and they're like hawks all up in your face. So, you know, you have that. Then the funny thing is that you would think, oh, Miami is in the tropics, right? So you would think that you would see fruit everywhere. But it's funny, because in my hometown of New York City, you have people selling fruit all over the place, like on the sidewalk, selling fruit everywhere. You go to South Florida, you don't see that. Like, and then being on South Beach, you don't see anybody selling fruit anywhere. And the stores that they have on South Beach that sell fruit, the fruit look all old and dusty and crusty, and like fruit that you would never want to buy and eat, like worse than the fruit in 7-Eleven. Like, you would think that somebody would have some hustle mentality and sell some coconuts and some coconut water somewhere, but you don't really see that down there, right? Even if like you're walking down the street and you're like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty, right? Like, it's so hot, I'm so thirsty, I need to get hydrated. It's not even easy to find a store to buy something to drink on South Beach. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to go out your way and go way over here to the supermarket. It's not like, if somebody has been to New York City, you know, like every block we have bodegas and corner stores and option, you know, like, so if you're walking down the street and you're thirsty, you have an option to get something on every block, you know, or just go over here. But when it comes to access to like good food and like just drinking something when I'm walking down the street, they need to do a lot better. Like, I feel like it's lacking in so many areas. You know, and South Beach might be fun to some people who go there for a weekend with their friends to turn up, or a weekend with their lover for a weekend to turn up. But after about 2 days, it's enough is enough of that place, you know, in my opinion. Okay, somebody might feel differently, but I don't feel like it's the most interesting place. Then South Florida. So It's also the first place I've ever experienced blatant racism, okay? The very first time I went down there in 2007, I remember having this experience, and I've had it many times since, specifically with the racist white Cubans down there. I can't stand them, okay? And I've been to Cuba 5 times. The Cubans in Cuba are very different, polar opposites than the ones in Miami, okay? For one, most of the Cubans in Cuba are black, okay? Or they're Afro-Indigenous. They're indigenous, they're African descent, they have melanin, they're brown, okay? Most of them, the Cubans in Miami are white, okay? They descend from Spain, they descend from Europe, they're racist. And they will look at you, like there's times I've walked into a nail place or into a business that's owned by white Cubans, and they're like backing up away from me, like they don't want to breathe my air, like, oh, like, you know, and the business could be empty, but they don't want my business. They don't want to talk to me. They're just like disgusted. And I've never experienced that. I've ridden buses through Alabama, through Mississippi and Tennessee. Never experienced anybody acting like that towards me until I was in South Florida. And it's funny because my friends who are from there a lot of them seem to not notice it or something, which I don't really get, because those white Cubans down there are blatantly racist. Another thing I don't like, one of the things that's unfortunate about South Florida is that even though you have all these different ethnic groups from all over the place, just like you do in New York City, in South Florida, they don't really mix and create. They don't create. You would think you have this beautiful weather, you have all this sun, you have people from Colombia, from Haiti, from PR, from DR, from everywhere you could imagine, right? Jamaica, you know, Bahamas, Barbados, you know, wherever you could imagine. But they've never created any art forms. If you think about New York City, that mixture of people created Latin jazz, created salsa, created boogaloo, created hip hop, the dance hall scene, you know. But in South Florida, no. Okay, and in South Florida, they do not have a good salsa scene at all. It's funny because every time people show like some TV show and they're in Miami, they always try to add some salsa to it and make it seem like Miami has a salsa scene. Miami does not have a salsa scene, okay? No. I've never heard, I've spent, again, a lot of time, not just in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, whatever, the whole South Florida area. I have never once in my life seen a good salsa band down there, or even barely come across bands, you know, salsa bands or anything down there. But the one time that I did see a salsa band, they were doing some Milli Vanilli shit where they weren't even playing the instruments. They were on stage and there was recorded music and they were pretending like they were playing, and they were doing a bad job doing that. And I was shocked because I'm like, that would never ever happen in New York. And in New York, there's so many dope musicians, so many dope Afro-Puerto Ricans, you know, Dominicans playing Afro-Cuban music, you know, playing Puerto Rican shit. Like, we have really good musicians that play good music, and salsa music actually comes from the streets of New York City, okay? So this idea that, oh, Miami has this Latin culture and they have a salsa scene, no they don't, it's corny, okay? So I can tell you that right now. Now, I do like what they play on the radio because they do play a lot of good trap music. I like all that. I like how people down south party. And some people try to say that Florida's not the South. Florida is the South. It's as far south as you can get, okay? The hood in Miami is scary, okay? Like a southern hood, all right? So Miami, Florida, all of it is the South, first of all, right? I just lost my train of thought. I don't know. I forgot what I was saying. So let me just talk about the rough parts, okay? Since I just mentioned that. The hoods in Miami are pretty scary, okay? I will say that. Pretty scary. And when you move away from South Beach and you really move into the city of Miami, you see a lot of people look rough, especially the dudes. Like, so on the one hand, I said, yeah, there's a lot of tall men, athletic men down there. But on the other hand, like the hood dudes down there they look like Kodak Black, and like, there's a lot of Kodak Black looking people. They just look, you know, dusty, dirty. There'd be dudes that be fat, looking dirty and dusty. Like, there's a lot of dirty dusties. Now, again, no offense to anybody who's offended, because I'm not saying it's everybody, but I'm saying it's a lot. Okay, it's a lot down there. And like the real Miami is very different than this South Beach image that we see. And it's very segregated, you know, like most American cities, like most cities, period. You know, it's like the Haitians over here, the Cubans over here, the Colombians over here. And I remember back in 2010, when the earthquake happened in Haiti. I remember going down to Miami to do a show, maybe like a couple weeks after it happened. And I never will forget that I remember at that time in New York, almost every business in New York had like a donation bucket or some type of basket to donate money or clothes or supplies to send to Haiti. When I went to Miami, I didn't see that anywhere. Not one single store, not one mention about, you know, the earthquake in Haiti and helping Haitians, nothing. And I'm like, but you're so close to Haiti, and you have a lot of Haitians, New York has a lot of Haitians, but like nobody cares. Like it was just, you know, weird to me. So I just feel like culturally, it's a culturally dead city. I remember being there in 2006 for an Afro-Cuban dance festival, because I've immersed myself in dances, Haitian folkloric dance, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Colombian, Congolese, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Dominican, Haitian, Afro-Peruvian, Afro-American. Those are all things that I've studied a lot over the years, right? Drums, dances, yada, yada, yada. So 2006, I'm at this conference, and I'm thinking, and the teacher, she brought all these teachers from Cuba, and at the time, there was a school in New York, which there still is, now there's like 2 of them, but there was a school in New York that specialized in dances of the African diaspora. So 7 days a week, they had classes from all the places I just mentioned, along with Senegal and Guinea and stuff like that. And so I started thinking to myself, why doesn't Miami have a school like this? Miami is also super diverse, and I feel like studying these dances and rhythms shows us what we have in common. Like, all these different countries are different, but we have a lot in common too, and there's a lot that can be learned from studying the dances. And it also, I think, helps with eradicating a lot of ignorance about different groups, understanding our shared history, and also pride, right? Pride of your people and where you come from, you know what I'm saying? So I remember saying, why doesn't, to me being a New Yorker that I am, everywhere we go, we see what people don't have. We have that hustle mentality. So I'm like, why don't you guys have a school like that? I'm thinking it would do great down here. And people told me, no, it won't. She opened up a school like that before, and it went out of business because people down here just don't care. And I remember over the years asking people, you know, about Haitian dance classes, because I took Haitian folkloric dance in New York, and so I'd be in Miami, and I'm like, there's mad Haitians, like, you guys got any Haitian dance classes? People will look at me like I had 10 heads, like, what do you mean a Haitian dance class? Like, huh? Like, what? And so, yeah, it's just culturally, to me, not the most interesting place, okay? Live music scene sucks. The salsa scene sucks. You know, there's not very much creating going on down there. The food is mediocre. Sometimes it's not good at all, but it's like way overpriced. Even the drinks, like every time I have drinks, and I'm sure maybe it depends on where you go, but it's just like a lot of places, the drinks aren't even strong. You know, like they're charging you $12, $13 for a drink, and you don't even feel tipsy afterwards. So I just feel like a lot of ways they be on some scam shit. I really feel like that about Miami and South Florida on so many levels, right? Now, okay, so if you're traveling there, you know, so it's the difference between, of course, living someplace and traveling someplace. Like, the things that I do love, because I've complained a lot about it, you know, I do love the fact that you can walk around half naked and it's okay. I like the humidity, the humid air. A lot of people say they don't like humidity. I do, because humidity keeps things moist and it keeps it from drying out, keeps your skin glowing. You know, humidity is actually good for you. So I like that moist air. It's that it's hot as hell, you know, and I like the heat, but sometimes it's a bit much in South Florida. I think it's a good place to shop, especially if you're a girl who likes cute girly stuff that's bright and cute and tight and this and that. Yeah, it's fitness oriented a bit, but I think even the fitness side of things can be a bit exaggerated. Like, you do have a lot of people, like, when I do go to the gym down there, I do see a lot of people that look athletic, right? That look like they're legit athletes. But in terms of seeing people working out outside, you can see that on South Beach a bit, and even then it's not a lot of people. Like, you see more people working out. I see more people working out on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, or the West Side Highway, Riverside Drive in New York, than I do on South Beach. You know, you see a few people working out sometimes. You have the outdoor gyms, you have that. But I feel like that's the minority of the city. I don't feel like the city is a very active city. I feel like most people are in the car all the time, just like most of America. And there's a lot of bad, because I observe bodies. for those of you who don't know, I am a trainer, but I'm very much into like studying health and bodies, and I feel like I've seen a lot of bad looking bodies in South Florida, like women who just have no booty, no hips. They just, you know, their stomach is like hanging over. I always say your stomach shouldn't be bigger than your breast or your butt. There's a lot of that down there. Just people with bad shapes, and I just notice it a lot, and I'm just like, yo, people, I don't know, they need to do something. But I feel like that the physical activity down there is a bit lacking. The Airbnbs down there, you know, even before Airbnb, I felt like the hotel situation in South Florida sucks. Now, it might have gotten better over the past few years because I haven't stayed in a hotel in a long time, but it was like they were just overpriced and kind of dusty. Like a lot of New York hotels were like that too, and I feel like New York has had some upgrades, but I wouldn't know because I don't stay in hotels often, and then I live in New York, so why would I really know about New York hotels? I have seen that New York has a few new modern ones, and so maybe Miami has done the same. But I just feel like going down there, everything is going to be like way overpriced and not worth it, just not worth it. And I feel like searching for Airbnbs, even when you're looking for something, even if you're looking at something that's supposed to be more luxury, it's really not that nice. The furniture is cheap and ugly. The way that they do somebody needs to hire an interior designer, because I've never seen an Airbnb on that site in South Florida that looks nice on the inside. Like, it all looks shitty. Now, some people can stay anywhere and they're not that picky, but no, like, I like beautiful places, you know. I like places with good light, you know, where I could open up a window, you know, like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. So if somebody disagrees with me, that's fine. You share your opinions on the area, but I just feel like I wanted to do this video for anybody who might be traveling down there, considering traveling down there, and, you know, I guess wanted to know my opinion or know some things. So like, if you're just going there for a weekend to have fun, you know, South Beach is cool. You know, you're gonna have overpriced drinks, overpriced food that may not be that good, but you know, everything is walkable. Everything is walkable. For me, when I go down there, I've never gone down there just to party. I've gone down there to work with photographers or to teach a workshop, and I used to have a lot of clients down there. But the thing for me, I would stay on South Beach because it was easy for me, but my clients and the photographers that I'm working with never wanted to come to South Beach because for them it was a pain in the ass because you can't really park anywhere. It's not a good place to shoot, you know, and then there's a lot of traffic. So now when I'm going down there to work with photographers, sometimes I'm like, let me just stay, you know, in Fort Lauderdale. Now the Airbnbs in Fort Lauderdale are cheaper, much cheaper. Like, when I say cheaper, like I found, like, you know, like little, again, they're not that nice, okay? But like little Airbnbs, it might be like $50 a night, okay? Whereas like in South Beach, it's hard to find a place that's less than $150 a night, right? Or in Miami, period. So you have that, okay, so it's cheaper in Fort Lauderdale, but then you definitely have to rent a car when you're in Fort Lauderdale. Like, you're not doing anything in Fort Lauderdale without a car. I mean, you could possibly stay in Fort Lauderdale Beach and not leave, but like, you know, if you really need to move around and go do stuff, you need a car, so then you have to pay for a car rental. So, you know, it's not, those are things to consider, you know, with going to South Florida. And everybody has different things that they're looking for, different things that's important to them. You know, I'm just somebody that I like easy access to stuff. I like good food, you know, I like interesting culture, you know, I like a beautiful city. South Florida doesn't fit any of that to me, any of that for me, okay? You know, depending on who you are and what you're into, you could say there's nice eye candy there. You could say that, you know, they have nice beaches. You know, they definitely have nice beaches. But I'm not really a lover of the beach anyway. I just like the sun. It's a good place to go shopping, but I just don't, I don't, you know, it's so funny. I just don't think there's a lot of real money down in South Florida, okay? I think most of that money is criminal money. There's a lot of, unless somebody's a doctor or something, and there's a lot of people driving around flossing in cars that probably aren't even theirs. And I feel like people that really have money don't even do stuff like that. Like Miami and Atlanta, people do stuff like that. So, you know, you got a lot of that showy stuff, but it's just, to me, not the most interesting place. I just think, you know, too overdeveloped a lot of places, too much strip malls and stuff like that. Now, you know, I don't really want to down somebody's area that much because, you know, people get offended. But these are just my opinions. I'm trying to make sure I said everything I needed to say. Even the airport in Fort Lauderdale and Miami sucks, okay? Even the airport in Fort Lauderdale, Miami has horrible food. You know, like, it's just, I mean, a lot of airports have bad food, but it's especially bad down there. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think I've said enough. I think I'm going to end this here. And a lot of times when I'm done, I remember things that I wanted to say. But I'm going to end it here. And if anybody wants to share their 2 cents, please do. Thank you for listening. And make sure you follow me on YouTube and IG. And if you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about, let me know, because I'm going to do more videos. Okay, people. Have a good day.